All right. So we got the Raptors, and they have beaten the Boston Celtics at home. Now, who the hell saw this coming after the last game? It's kind of crazy, right? If you told me before this game started that OG Anunoby would play the way that he did and that the Raptors would still somehow pull this out, I would have told you were absolutely crazy. But it was the Scottie Barnes show. That's what it was. It's the Scottie Barnes show. Jason Tatum has never looked frustrated against the Raptors, but he looked absolutely devastated tonight. Body language was just absolutely flustered. And that Nick Nurse defense that we've been hearing about all offseason, about that length and that pace, that they finally started to show a little bit of it tonight. Now, it's not all roses for the Raptors here tonight, because they do have a number one option who has struggled back-to-back games now in his second straight game. So let's talk a little bit about what happened with OG Anunoby and Fred VanVleet, frankly, because both those guys struggled. Precious Achiuwa struggled. But we'll talk about those guys right after we get to the positive surprises for this game. The positives were, let's talk about it, Scottie Barnes. 25 points, 13 rebounds, first Raptor rookie to score 20 points in his road debut since Damon freaking Stoudemire. We're going back. We're going way back with that one. What an impressive, it's not even that the 25 and 13, okay? These kind of things happen in the modern NBA, 25 and 13. It's the poise, it's the composure, and it's just the attitude this guy approached this game with. You could tell from the minute it was jump ball that we were going to have a very special performance from Scottie Barnes. So that was an extremely special performance. He was all over the place. He was diving. He was passing the ball with that nice little magic look-away pass in the open court. He was cutting to the basket. He was defending Tatum. He was defending Al Horford. He hit a three. Who saw that coming? He's hit a three. And by the way, Raptor fans, if you're counting, Jalen Suggs had another bad night. Just letting you know, he had another bad night there. So we got Scottie Barnes. Now, who else surprised? Now, this is going to be poison off my lip, but Gary Trent Jr. had a really good game. He hustled hard. He stole the basketball. He hit some shots, and he was some much-needed composure for that Raptor offense that, quite frankly, looked awful for large parts of this game. And this is back-to-back games that the Raptors have held two Eastern Conference foes to under 100 points. So that's pretty special and a big vote of confidence for Nurse's defense. Let's talk about what's been going on with OG. Right? A lot of people, myself included, were really high on OG Anunoby coming into the offseason. And, we're thinking, hey, he's going to be our go-to guy. And he's pretty much my favorite player. Cards on the table. He is my favorite player on this team. And he hasn't shown up back-to-back nights. And it's not for a lack of trying. It's not that he's not trying on defense. He's absolutely trying. And that might be the problem. He's pressing. You can see that he's aiming the shots. His feet don't look set. Now, I'm not a stranger to OG Anunoby starting the season a little bit cold. He's done it a few times. This might just be a player. We've seen players like this. There are players out there who really aren't available to you for the first 5 to 10 games as they work themselves into rhythm. And he might be one of those players for you, but the opportunity is too big right now for OG to not seize this moment. It's his first real chance in an NBA situation to be a first option, and he is, quite frankly, pardon my French, shit the bed on back-to-back nights. So, what can the Raptors do in the next game, which, by the way, comes up tomorrow against Luka Doncic and the Mavericks, who pretty much got blown out by the Atlanta Hawks last night? What can they do to free up OG Anunoby for better looks? Well, I'll tell you what I'm seeing with the basketball in Fred VanVleet's hand when Scottie Barnes isn't handling it in the open court and the Raptors aren't running. It's a very stagnant offense. It's a lot of driving into double teams and triple teams. And if you really go back and break the offense down, there's really nothing easy for the Raptors outside of transition plays. So I think that it's really important for Nick Nurse to get some action off the ball, get OG coming off a pick, get him open. Now, on the other side, OG Anunoby also has a role to play in this. It's not all Fred VanVleet. It's not all Nick Nurse. It's also on him. What I'm noticing with OG is he's taking 2 seconds every time he catches the ball, and it's allowing the defense to set up. Sometimes he's beating his man right off the dribble, and then he's stopping right underneath the basket, and it seems like he has to think about it. He just seems off. I'm really hoping that he finds his rhythm tomorrow. Again, Raptor fans, what a brilliant night from your star rookie, your lottery pick, Scottie Barnes. He absolutely nailed it. Fred VanVleet, honestly, drove me insane in the first half. I was screaming at my television for this guy to pass the ball so many times down the court. That you have a 3-on-1 break, and this guy does not see an open guy cutting to the basket. But you know what? He also had me eating crow in the second half. He controlled the composure of the game, something that we talked about on the last show that he wasn't doing very well against Washington, and he did it tonight. He slowed the pace down. It wasn't always pretty. It wasn't always perfect. He did have that one pass, which Alvin Williams hilariously called one of the best passes you're going to see all year. You know what? He might not be wrong. It was a pretty nice pass, and it was especially surprising that it came from Fred VanVleet, a player that I feel is notorious for missing those types of opportunities. Hopefully, he can get better. We're going to need him to step up his game tomorrow. Are there any other Raptors that I'm thinking about that really impressed me tonight? No. Svi was terrible. Take out those two pointers that he hit in garbage time. He was really bad. He was also really pressing. Chris Boucher, honestly, a mixed bag, right? He had some positive possessions. He hit some, I think he hit a three. He had a really nice cut to the basket where Scottie found him. On the other side, there was a possession. I think there was a string of possessions in the second quarter or third quarter where he checked in for Barnes, and the next two possessions was Boston cutting right to the rim and him just not rotating. Nick Nurse's defense, it functions on a string. One weak chain, and the whole thing falls apart. So you really do need that. And I'm going to sum this up, and I'm going to kind of close this off by, coming to a final point. It's very obvious to me from watching the rotations that Nick Nurse already trusts Scottie Barnes almost as much as he trusts his veterans. He looks nervous to take him off the floor, to be honest. He staggers his minutes. He tries to get him those Kyle Lowry breaks at the end of the quarter, beginning of the second quarter. And I'm seeing that there's already that sort of trust that my offense and my defense is going to look better with this guy on the court. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Scottie makes a lot of things happen on defense. You can see today he covered 1 through 5. He really did. He was active, and you could tell he really wanted it. And on offense, he's a facilitator. He knows where to be. He's always cutting. He got a ton of opportunities on the offensive glass. And you know what? For the Raptors, we heard all season that they're going to be really small inside. And I'm telling you, that length of Precious Achiuwa and Scottie Barnes is absolutely scary. On the defensive glass, on the offensive glass, they were killing Boston. I mean, kind of lost in the shuffle in the last game against the Washington Wizards was the fact that the Raptors attempted 17 more shots in their opposition. It's almost hard to lose when you out-rebound the other team that way. And the Raptors found a way to lose because everyone didn't show up on offense. Well, today, a few guys showed up. Gary Trent showed up. Scottie Barnes showed up. Hopefully tomorrow, we're going to see a few more guys show up because there's a lot of players on this team. Khem Birch, Precious Achiuwa. There's a lot of guys that I can really tell you, quite frankly, can play a lot better than this. So, Raptor fans, go to sleep. Happy tonight. I know some of you, if you're like me, kind of a little bit bummed out on Wednesday. I know if you're like me, you probably stayed up all night watching analysts talking about this. And, wondering like when the hell, we're going to see the next game and what kind of Raptor team is going to show up. Well, we got a really energized, very positive performance from the Raptors tonight in a surprise blowout of the Boston Celtics on the road. Scottie Barnes, welcome to Toronto.